the party at 6:31 p.m. I think it's 6:32 p.m. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's around that time. And so this is your host, Michael J. Long, host of Michaels Libertarian Pizza Party at, of course, 6:32 p.m. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. And if you haven't already done so, please click the notification. Please click the subscription link. Party at, of course, 6:32 p.m. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. And if you haven't already done so, please click the notification. Please click the subscription link. Party at, of course, 6:32 p.m. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. And if you haven't already done so, please click the notification. Please click the subscription link. All right, that's enough of that. Anyways, so yeah, so sorry about that. Just a few technical difficulties with the video running in the background, but so again, if you want to subscribe, just hit the subscription link and then click the notification bell and select all. And then that way you will be notified of any future video contents and live streams that I do. Now, I wanted to make this video a surprise because I haven't always gone live before. I've gone live in the past, but this is the first time in a while that I've done it. And so I want to make this episode about something I should have. I barely became aware of this, but like last year, our governor here in New York State, Governor Kathy Hochul, I call her Queen Hochul the First because, in my opinion, I feel that she's more the dictatorial queen than she is the governor of this state. So what I wasn't aware of, and I had to actually research this and I came across this article. I forget what source it was from. Basically, the state legislature last year passed a law that Governor Hochul signed into law. So it was passed by this bill, supposed bill was passed by the New York State legislature, which is a majority of Democrats. They passed this bill that Governor Kathy Hochul signed into law. This law basically says that they're going to force all New York State, everybody in New York State to adopt a electric or hydraulic car by 2035. Hydraulic meaning water, and electric meaning it's electricity and whatnot. And so by 2035, so what they're going to attempt to do is force the manufacturers to phase out the electric cars, the gas-powered cars, in favor of the electric and hydraulic cars. So they're going to they're going to force it on the free market to phase out all these gas-powered cars in favor of electric and hydraulic cars. And what they're going to do, I guess as part of it, is by 2035, the ban's going to go into effect, basically outlawing gas-powered cars in the state. And that, I feel, is absurd, right? And I know that everybody has a different opinion, but my take on it is, look, let the free market do it. If they want to create, these electric, stations or whatnot, fine. It doesn't need to be subsidized by the state government. It doesn't be forced down our throats. It needs to be handled by the free market voluntarily and by individuals who want to get involved with this project. It should never be imposed by any level of government, and I'm surprised that it has not been challenged. I was hoping that they'd challenge it, but I'm just barely finding out about it, so I think they might have passed it under the cover of darkness. It is complete lunacy, in my opinion, that they would turn around and try to, do something like that. It's a egregious, in my opinion. And I feel like they never should have passed it. It never should have gotten signed into law. But hey, this is the same governor that goes out there and says, oh, look what we did. We seized 6,000 guns, even though under the U.S. Constitution, you're allowed to bear arms, including guns and firearms, which includes military-style rifles and whatnot, for purposes of self-defense, right? And what does our Queen Hochul do? Well, she bans the firearm. She hasn't necessarily banned it, but she put a ban on certain amount of firearms and restricts ammo caps and whatnot. So in a sense, she has. And this is the so-called agenda that's going on here in New York. It's absurd, in my opinion. It's absurd that we have to bow down to the almighty Queen Hochul the First and ask for permission to have our rights or have them reinstated or whatnot. I mean, we went through this whole thing before Governor Andrew Cuomo stepped down, where we had these partial COVID lockdowns. You know, it's a mess, and it's absurd in my opinion. And I know some of you guys are like, what? I mean, what's he talking about, right? Like, you know, some of you guys some of the people on the left might say, but Michael, what about the environment, you know? Well, you know, the real question is, what about everybody's individual rights and civil liberties and freedoms to decide for themselves what they choose to put in their own bodies, how they choose to raise their children, live their lives, and so forth? What about that? You know, if, you know, and this is how narrow-minded a lot of people are on the left, and a lot of people are also narrow-minded. Almost everyone on the right is narrow-minded. Almost all of them. Pretty much all of them. And almost everyone on the left is narrow-minded to their political camp, if you will, right? And so, you know, it's absurd to me that this passes as part of an agenda that's supposed to be about freedom of speech 20 years ago, you know? I mean, the left has gone down one rabbit hole while the right goes down another. They're both freaking two extremes, and this state government is to the extreme left, to the equivalency of what Texas is being on the extreme right. And it's a bunch of garbage, if you ask me. You know, we might as well just have Adolf Hitler or Benito Mussolini running this show, to be honest with you. Because that's what we're getting with Governor Kathy Hochul is, you know, let's force the free market to, you know, ban gas-powered cars. Now, if you think about it, gas-powered cars, there's more out there than anything that I know of. They're cheaper. They're affordable to maintain. You know, they don't, you know, now we got to go for have these small, dinky-dink, electric-powered cars shoved down our throats to, quote-unquote, save the environment, right? And it's not that I don't care about the environment, right? You know, but I don't think that should hold priority over the individuals to make these decisions themselves. I don't think we need government to micromanage everything we do and everything we say and all that. And to me, it's a bunch of garbage. We have to have our queen sit there and give us orders like we're fucking conscripts or we're, you know, of some military of whatnot. Oh, you didn't do what Queen Hochul said? Well, you're going to jail. You're going to prison. You know, and when you go get locked up, you're going to get raped and all this other shit. You know, And at the same time, and it's interesting because even with that, we're shutting down we've shut down a third of our state prison, and yet we keep locking people up for stupid shit. We keep locking people up because they dare to do crack cocaine or methamphetamine or marijuana, right? Or whatever drug of choice they chose to do. We're locking them up for it. And I know YouTube has a policy standard on not explicitly mentioning drugs, and I'm sorry for that, but and I'm not trying to promote drug use here. All right? I'm just trying to say if you're a consenting adult over the age of 18, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, go do this or don't do this, right? I'm just saying if you're a consenting adult, you should have the right to decide for yourself what you choose to put in your own body. At least that's how I feel about it, right? That is my opinion. I feel that if you're a consenting adult, you should be able to decide for yourself what you choose to buy, what you choose to put in your own body, how you choose to raise your children and live your life, and what car you choose to do and drive with, and who you choose to do business with, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, as long as you don't impose danger, force, or fraud to others. If you don't do that, we're cool. If you're not imposing danger, force, or fraud to others, we're cool. You should be able to do whatever you want, as long as you don't impose danger, force, or fraud to others. And that, my friend, is the key, right? So, if you want to do crack cocaine or methamphetamines or marijuana, whatever it happens to be, there's no reason why you can't, as long as you're not driving intoxicated, or as long as you're not intending to do harm to another person or impose force on others. And this is, by the way, is exactly what the state government of New York is doing. Every chance they get, what can we do to impose force on others? That's exactly what the state government of New York is doing right now with their environmental regulations, high taxes, regulations, and all these laws, which is exactly also going on at the federal level and in many states, including many Republican states. And I hate to break it to you, but Texas is the third most regulated state in the union, behind New York and California. And then you got Florida, and I think Illinois as the fourth and fifth most regulated states in the union. Then you got every other state far, here and there in between, that fall in between or fall everywhere and anywhere on that scale, right? And I think out of all of them, New Hampshire is the most freest state in the union. So I think that says a lot about even Florida. I mean, why is it not Florida or Texas that is the freest state? Why does it have to be New Hampshire? Well, because New Hampshire has more libertarians living there, and they have a more libertarian influence on the way that their government actually operates. And it's not perfect, and but I feel like even though it's a Republican state, it's far less Republican than all the other Republican states, and it's more freer, right? And I'm not saying it's free compared to other countries, but it's definitely, more freer than all these other states. And New York, being the most regulated and most restricted state to live in, says a lot about New York. And it's my home state. It's where I live, right? It's where I reside in. New York State, my home state, my state is the most overly regulated, high-taxed state in the country. And we're not getting a dime of benefit out of it. We're not getting anything, any benefit for the individuals out of it. If you want to go to college, well, guess what? You can't. Unless you live, or you can, but you can't, but basically, you can't find the courses that you want to take unless you want to do something as specific as engineering or being a nurse or something of that sort, or a doctor or whatever. And they even with that, they got the colleges and universities all regulated, and then they subsidize them, and it's a mess. So I wanted to make my live stream video on that, on how screwed up the state governments are, and how screwed up the federal government is, and how screwed up the process is for having freedom. We shouldn't have. I mean, that's the thing. This government is so big and it's so huge. I mean, at the federal level, there's a federal government agency, commission, and board. There's a federal government agency for every little thing, and you have all these sub agencies, commissions, and boards. You know, it's ridiculous. And they're getting more and more, and the IRS specifically, the CIA, the FBI, they're getting more and more power. And then you got these state governments that are becoming tyrants just as much as the freaking Democrat, just as much as the federal government. And this is the price we pay for having stupid people who vote for, in my opinion, they're stupid, right? I mean, maybe, you know, you're one of them and you vote Democrat or Republican, right? And I'm not trying to put you down. I'm just stating my opinion that I feel that it's stupid to vote for a Democrat or a Republican when every time they get in, the government grows. You never, ever see the government shrink in either a Democrat or Republican state. We've never seen the government shrink at the federal level under Trump, nor has it shrunk under Biden. It never shrunk under Obama, and it never shrunk under Bush. And it damn sure ain't going to shrink no matter who gets in, unless, in my opinion, we elect a libertarian. Right? So I think that's what we need to do. We need to elect libertarians to public office at the local, state, county, and federal level. And we're not going to do that by sitting there listening to the media and having the media tell us who to vote for. Because, I mean, I swear, every time you turn on the news, right, they're telling you who to vote for. It's ridiculous. Or they're telling you that you have to vote Democrat or Republican. That's not an effective choice. That's not a choice. Those two choices and having people vote for them is why this country and the state is so messed up. It's why the state budget is bigger than that of the federal budget in terms of deficits and whatnot. And most countries around the world don't have as big of a deficit as we got at the federal level. And then New York's is 3 times that much, I think. Maybe I could be wrong, but I think it's 3 times that much. Right. So anyways, I wanted to bring that up because I feel like we should legalize everything. We should let people be free, and to be, especially consenting adults. We should let consenting adults be free to make their own decisions without the federal and state governments telling them how to live their lives and what they can do and what they can't do, which is what is currently going on. So I'm your host, Michael J. Long, host of Michaels Libertarian Pizza Party, and thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you haven't already subscribed, I would highly recommend you subscribe to my YouTube channel today. And thank you for joining me. I truly and sincerely appreciate it, guys. All right, how do I stop it? All right.